Well, not quite too sure what's more American than a John Deere tractor. Maybe it's this all new Mossberg 940 Pro Tactical. With this shotgun here, Mossberg came to the market with this thing about a year ago, maybe a little over. It's a pretty sweet shotgun. I would have to say that with this shotgun, it's a competitor or direct competitor to the Beretta A300 Ultima Patrol, which obviously came out after the fact. The 940, this one here, this is actually gonna be an OD green model. Costs a few bucks extra. It comes in right around $1,000. You have a butt pad back here for your length pull adjustments, trigger, tang mounted safety for those ambient controls, enlarged loading port, a lifter that is flat across the front, and then plenty of room in there for getting shells. 7+1 capacity here on this thing. And then on top of that, Mossberg branded. And of course, like I said, you know Mossberg stuff is made in the United States. A lot of folks, they don't seem to like some of the Italian stuff because just frankly, it's not made in the US generally, but that A300, it is. So this shotgun has a lot going for it. Today, we're gonna cover all the features of this, especially the fact it has a nice optics cut in here, and we'll cover some stuff about that because it's not, I can't say it's as straightforward as one would think. In fact, I had a little bit of an issue when I was mounting that. And then up here, you got a front bead, smooth bore. Overall, build quality is pretty good. There's a few things I'm gonna have to show you to really believe because it's kind of unfortunate at its price point. But let's get everything loaded up. Let me get some targets set up, get my ears on, and we're gonna shoot the crap out of this thing and see how it performs. We're on the range now. We're gonna shoot this 940 Pro. I have it zeroed with slugs or Fiocchi 2 3/4 inch slugs, about 1,500 feet per second roughly. The gun itself has an 18.5 inch barrel, again smooth bore. You see it kind of comes coned out here, so you can actually add a choke to it. It does have chokes. It uses Accu chokes, which are a little different than what Benelli, Beretta, and Franchi use. Red fiber optic front sight. And then back here on the rear, you see I do have the Vortex Defender CCW up here. No issues with it so far. I probably have roughly 60 rounds through this shotgun so far, just shooting it and getting a feel for it before we do a full review. And when I went to mount this red dot on the shotgun, it was an incredible pain in the ass. Frankly, what happened was they put so much Cerakote on this thing, on that optics cut, I actually had to take a small file and a scraper, like a carbon scraper, and scrape away paint in order to actually fit this thing down onto the post. So it wasn't like the metal was bad, it was that they put so much paint on there and globbed it on there, frankly, on those little recoil lugs, that I couldn't fit the optic on there. Now you do get, it looks like a co-witness here through the rear like notch on the sight. However, I can't sit here and tell you that even with the hollow sun, because I looked at one in the store, and this is that you don't really get a very good co-witness because what you're actually getting is you actually have to raise the front end of the shotgun up to get that co-witness. It's not like an even co-witness per se. So your elevation and that is actually going to be off with it. Up here in the front, you do have a barrel clamp, which has mlok if you want it. And then here on the handguard, something that I made mention of in a short recently is why a handguard flexes like that on a shotgun in this price range. Again, this was about $1,100 for the OD green color. And that's just frankly, it's unacceptable. I just don't, it's sad because there's a partial reason why I've stayed away from Mossberg shotguns. It's because usually when I pick them up, there's things like this going on. And I just don't get that from 20 or so different Italian-made shotguns that I've never had any of those issues with. But let's see how this thing shoots. If this thing shoots great, I'm sure I can overlook some of those small things. Now with the 940 Pro Tactical, unlike some of the other models out there that are from different manufacturers, there is no actual bolt lock hold open, let's say button or magazine cutoff like Benelli and Franchi and Beretta have. So when this thing's empty, the bolt will lock to the rear. If it's not empty, the bolt will not lock to the rear. So you have to actually, let's say empty the shotgun to do that. Now when you're loading it, it's not so much of an issue. You can work around it. Inside the trigger guard, there's a little nub in there to ultimately feel if the shotgun is cocked. So see that firing pin's cocked. Not really sure who's ever going to use that, but obviously somebody. Now loading rounds into the shotgun is very stiff. It is not a smooth operation. In fact, they start to hang up the minute they start reaching that tube. But we got 4 rounds in there. We'll use that tang safety and we'll go from here. So what I'm gonna do is just do 2 shots on the buzzer and we'll see how it performs and how fast I can run this thing. So 2 shots at 135. These buckshot that I just went through here, these are going to be a cellular and billet. They are maxed rams, so these are a very heavy load for buckshot. What I'll say is when loading this shotgun, it almost feels a little bit sluggish as I load rounds into it. It's just not a very smooth operation, and it's kind of unfortunate. So that's 4 shots in 162. It feels like you could shoot it. Recoil-wise, these are stiff, like I mentioned. I can't sit here and tell you that I can't outrun this shotgun. I can. Definitely could shoot this thing faster if it allowed me to. I can't say it's cycling fast enough for me to outrun it. It's just not happening. It's just not all that quick. Now down here on the loading gate or loading port, it is beveled and it is enlarged. It's not as smooth as you would see from like Beretta, but it's not bad either. It doesn't notice any like rough edges, nothing like when I'm loading shells in there. But that first round into the tube is sluggish. It really hangs up as you're starting to load it in there. All right, there you go. Malfunction. That is malfunction number 4 for this shotgun for loading rounds. You'll notice that it actually just didn't feed that all the way. So, not real sure. You know, maybe it needs a slight break-in to some extent, possibly. You know, of course, that could be the case. However, again, I have now, I mean, we're looking at probably close to 60 rounds, 70 rounds through this thing, and it's still doing that to some extent. Next loads I have here, these are gonna be some birdshot. At this point in this review, and my experience with this shotgun thus far, I have to ask the question that nobody else wants to answer. Is this shotgun worth your money? Right now, why you would buy this over some of its competitors, I can't understand that. I also can't understand why some of these much larger channels have reviewed this shotgun and not brought up any of this stuff or even called some of the stuff out. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad shotgun at this point. And you know, by all means, we got to shoot it more. It's just not really pleasing me at this point. Recoil-wise, it feels, you know, on par for a standard 12 gauge. I don't notice anything bad about that. That stuff seems good. Gas-wise, you know, this shotgun, they say it takes about 1,500 rounds between cleanings because of the coatings that they put on the inside here. They nitrided things and did that and did some titanium nitride, which is good. You certainly want to see that as 2024. You know, the A300 that we have has probably close to 500 rounds through it now. No cleaning and no malfunctions yet. So let's continue to run this thing and shoot it. You guys hear me keep bringing up that A300. We're going to do a full comparison. You'll get to see that here shortly after this review pops. But I think you'll really enjoy how the two of them perform against each other. Something I want to talk about is that tang mounted safety. It is good for an ambi type safety for your right-handed or your left-handed shooters. However, with your crossbow style that you get on its competitors, you can flip that safety around and make it so you shoot the gun left or right-handed. You can just switch that operation of which way you're actually pushing that safety to turn it on or off. This one, I'll say it's stiff. And for me, it's hard. I'll openly and readily admit that it's hard for me to get used to it because I've been shooting shotguns since I was like 6 years old. I'm 34 now. I've been doing it for a very long time. I've had a Benelli, Franchi, I mean, all of them. Name them and I've got them in the safe. And my first auto-loading shotgun was a Franchi AL48. That shotgun has, Lord knows how many rounds through it. I can't believe it's not even worn out yet at this point. But obviously that has a trigger mounted safety, so it's back here behind it. The A300 is up in the front, and when you're up here on the shotgun, it's very easy to get. Now with this one, when I come up under that safety, I feel like I almost have to like kind of like break my grip to push it off completely because it is stiff. It's not a flick that's real easy like you find on maybe an over and under shotgun. So it's something that I'm not a fan of personally. However, I can understand why some folks would like that. Right now I have 2 rounds loaded up in the shotgun. I'm gonna shoot this head swinger. While I'm shooting the head swinger with these 2 rounds, what I'm looking for is it's gonna load, you know, that second round, eject it and get good lock back. I'm gonna do that several times to check that stuff. So good lock back there. All right. If you guys are unfamiliar with auto-loading shotguns, generally speaking, because I've killed plenty of birds with them. When you're loading rounds into your shotgun, you can just drop them in the action as long as it's oriented the right way. Hit that button and they're going to slide into there every single time. No issues that time. Come here, Andrew. Does Michael have a problematic Mossberg 940, or are other reviewers lying? I don't know. My experience, Mossbergs are like this. The 930 was like this. I made mention about that in the A300 Ultima Patrol video, that the 930s were crap, and I saw a lot of issues with them when I shot 3-gun. This is no different for me at this point. I'm seeing a lot of issues with it feeding rounds. I mean, this right here, this is what you would call a catastrophic malfunction, because on the 12 gauge here, you actually have a round that's over top of it. The one here on the bottom, I can't push the lifter up. This round, I mean, it's, this is at the point you gotta hit a freaking screwdriver to get it out. So let me fix that and we'll resume filming. I'm gonna start now from a tactical loading procedure. That means I have the chamber open, pull one out of the side saddle, come over the top, throw it in, underneath, then you're gonna load into the tube while the shotgun's still at like the ready position. So there's 5 loaded. So good lock back there, functioned all those flawlessly. That last malfunction, that did have to be cleared using a screwdriver. I'm gonna hop back now, shoot a couple slugs at the steel, shoot a few more of the buckshot that we have, and continue to run this thing and see if we continue to have some of those issues. In addition to that, just see how it performs. Shootability wise, it's fine. It's really not off brand or any different than the other 12 gauge auto loaders I've shot. That stuff feels fine. One thing I wanna cover though, it's really, really nice that Mossberg felt the need to brand the underside of their shotgun. But if you would have just, Mossberg, if you're listening, because I'm sure you'll see this, if you just put knurling underneath here and texturing like you do here on the sides, it'd be much better. Now, because when you come on here with your hand and your grip, this actually is part of your gripping surface here. Now, granted, you got the sides, but that bottom part of like my calluses there, it's just smooth. Okay, there's nothing for it to really grip onto because it just says Mossberg. Like, that's great. I can see it's a Mossberg, it's 940 Pro here, and obviously I have a placard here and it said it there, and also everybody knows it's a Mossberg because of the tank safety. So again, I need some grip textures there, and you know, like with the A300, there's grip textures all the way around, and some people are like, oh, it's too aggressive. Tactical shotgun, what it's made for, I want all those aggressive grips. You know, a duck hunting shotgun, turkey gun, I want all those aggressive grip textures as well. My dipped Franke Affinity 3.5-inch gun has better textures on it than this does, and that's a hunting shotgun. So that's something that I need to see a little bit better. You know, operation-wise, of course, we've seen a few issues. Let's shoot this thing, we'll wrap it up. Got some slugs loaded up, we're on steel now, 35 yards. Those feel great. Overall, not bad though. I mean, the recoil stuff, you know, that stuff all feels good. Overall weight isn't bad. The recoil pad back here seems okay. Shoot a few more through this thing at this distance at our steel. Again, we're at 35. For reference, so far through this shotgun, Fiocchi slugs, Fiocchi 3-gun birdshot, cellular pellet, double-aught buck, max dram, so that's max loads ultimately. And then right here, these are gonna be Federal Tacticals. These are double-aught buck. I wanted to run some of these through here too, see how they function. I don't have a ton of them, and these are also rather expensive. What I do like, what I'll say, is I like how the red dot actually mounts on here and how low it sits. It's very natural and feels really good on there. That is nice. You know, of course, one thing I will say though, is if you have an agency or you have somebody that doesn't want to run a red dot on their shotgun, you definitely want some form of like good iron sights on here. Now these ones, like I said, if I come down the shotgun and I'm getting full level with it, I do not get a co-witness with this red dot. The Holosun one that I looked at in the store was the same thing. This Vortex, if you're unfamiliar with it, sits just as low. There is no difference in those two. So looking through there, you do not get a full co-witness when you come down on the shotgun and get a good cheek weld like you're supposed to. So it's kind of unfortunate. So I would like to see full-blown iron sights instead of just a bead. You know, a bead is fine, you know, like 20 and in, and you can shoot slugs at it, but if you're looking for a precision weapon for maybe a law enforcement use, I don't know that I would pick this 940 Pro based off the fact it doesn't have good, you know, adjustable iron sights. A lot of folks want a pick base on here. This doesn't come with one. The grip textures on here are significantly less than its competitors. And on top of all of that stuff, at about 100 rounds now, this thing has not been reliable really whatsoever. In fact, off camera, on camera, we're probably looking at 10 to 11 malfunctions with failures to extract, failures to load, failures to feed. I mean, you name it. Well, unfortunately, we've had it so far with this shotgun. But really with this thing, we're gonna compare it to the Beretta A300 Ultima Patrol. I almost feel bad for it going up against that shotgun at this point because that shotgun has been nothing but reliable and we can't find anything bad to say about it. But we'll see how they perform. But until then, stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe.